Good morning, everyone. I am Majabella, and I am the Wednesday host for Planet Pathlings. And this week we are going over how we compose a ritual, or how we pull together a ritual that we're going to perform. Spin took you through the basics of what a ritual is and what some of the various components can be in a ritual. But there are many different reasons to do a ritual, and so if I'm going to take you through some of my general things that I do for ritual, because I do things slightly different for the different kinds of rituals that I do. But if I'm going to do, say, the Sabbats, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to write out the body of my ritual. I do that because I'll start it maybe a week, maybe even 2 weeks in advance of the ritual. And that sets my mind to my thoughts of what season is the wheel is turning to. This helps me to center and focus and start changing from one season to the next. Since there are 8 major Sabbats in a year, this kind of just takes you into the next 6 weeks or so of the year, and it kind of helps you move through from it's a transition, and this helps me focus on that transition. Now, a lot of us have time constraints, and I am one who has a lot of time constraints as well. But because I have been doing this for so long, I have most of my rituals for the Sabbats that are exactly the same every year that I do them. All my quarter calls, all of that are already written out. So basically the only thing that I'm changing is the mid-section of my ritual. My opening of my circle, my closing of my circle, all remains the same year in, year out. Maybe every once in a while I'll tweak it, but for the most part it's already written, it's already memorized by me, and is not such an ordeal. It used to be more of an ordeal to write that out in the beginning, before I had a set routine on how I called in the energy into the circle, and how I opened my circle and set my circle and opened my circle at the end. The body of the ritual, depending on the season and what my focus is, and how I set my intention for that season, what it is about the season that I'm going to use to focus on whatever work that I'm choosing to do. Samhain is a very good example, because that is a time of working with ancestors. This last Samhain I made a full-on intention to give thanks to the male ancestors that I felt like I had been kind of ignoring, and almost not really showing the great appreciation that I should have. I still honor my female ancestors, but I wanted to call out and make a special note on working with the male and the masculine ancestors this time around. The other thing that I will also put in my ritual is a story, a myth, a piece of poetry, something that I find speaks to the energy that is coming into play. So if it's Mabon, my favorite ritual is the story of Demeter and Persephone and her descent into the underworld, and her ascent back up out through the underworld. So I love that particular myth. That's the one I usually use for Mabon. Each Sabbat has their own myths and stories. You can switch your pantheons of what, like if you want to use a Greek myth, or you want to use a Native American myth, or you want to use, you can change that up to give a whole new feel each and every time, with the stories that you choose to incorporate inside your ritual as well too. I love doing that. Before that, that's kind of how I compose a ritual. And that helps me put my mindset where I want my mindset to be. Before any major work, the day of the ritual, I will do certain things. I will set about cleaning my house. I don't like any major disaster in my house anywhere when I'm going to do and perform a ritual inside my magic room. So I start by walking each room in my house. I light an incense, I light a candle, and I hit some of my mini altars, and I actually start putting my brain into that mindset by sweeping through each room. That starts the focus for me. I know I also do a ritual bath of some sort as well. I know that October said that she's found that she likes the shower, and I understand why she does. For me, I use a long hot bath to start my meditations on what I'm going to be doing, running my ritual through my head, cleansing myself. I soak in a special mixture of ritualized bath salts that I prepared for my cleansing, but I stay in the bath until all of the water has gone down the drain, and that sweeping through me is like pulling everything negative out me and through the drain. Then I will stand up and rinse off so that I can be awake enough through my ritual. Then I proceed to prep myself in what I'm going to wear, how I'm going to perform. I don't necessarily use ritual robes, but I frequently will dress in colors to use to bring in some color influences into my circle. If I have no particular, it'll either be all black or all white, especially if it's dark moon or full moon magic. I then proceed to go through my entire house. I kind of lock down and start an outer circle before I go into my inner chamber of my magic room and start my work there. Pieces that I choose to put on my altar are always going to have ties to my ancestors. There will be things that are family pieces on the table. There will be my particular tools that I use for ritual. I will have all of that already pretty much laid out and ready to go before my ritual starts. I do not use a lot of foreign languages in my rituals. I used to think that I had to do that, and my mind kept going to, if I start pronouncing these things wrong, saying these things wrong, that it actually may be calling in something that I'm not sure what I'm doing. So I have my ritual is fairly formal, but it is not in Latin or in any of the other more obscure languages. I think it's beautiful when people do it, but a long time ago, working all by myself, I had no way of knowing whether I was pronouncing these things correctly, and decided that it was best that I know what exactly I was saying and the words I was using, because words are very, very much power, especially in a ritual, and so I prefer to know exactly what I'm saying and my intent behind it. Anything that makes you unsure, don't use it. Use what makes you comfortable. There is no right or wrong, so it's all good. And if you can do all of that formalized Hebrew language or Latin, or that's all the better. It makes a beautiful ritual when you do that. But if you are beginning and you're not comfortable with that, or you don't know that you're saying it right or doing it right, don't do it. You don't have to. It's not an issue. I have built so much magic and stuff in and around what I do, and I have to say that being solitaire, it is mainly performed more inside my mind than it is in an outward voice a lot of times. And so I don't do all the banishing and all the stuff that some people do. My area is pretty locked down, and anything that's running through here is something that I'm allowing, or, it's not that I don't do cleansing, and it's not that I don't set up my perimeters on my property and stuff. I do that, but pretty much I am locked down most of the time for all those kind of intrusive energies. So I don't do the banishings before and the ritual unless I'm feeling threatened in some way. Go with your instincts on that. If you feel any uneasiness about anything, do a banishing. If you feel in any way that there's something, not right, then you should always start your rituals by cleansing your area properly of the unwanted, the negative, the stuff that maybe you can't cast out of yourself. By all means, don't shortcut that. The longer you do these things, and the reason why they're rituals to begin with is because the repetitive nature of performing these things makes your work stronger and stronger and stronger. So now that I've been doing this for well over 30 years in full rituals, because I did not do full rituals in the beginning. It took a while before I actually did full rituals. So the more that my confidence has grown, the more repetitive nature of what I do, the stronger my work is, with the less preliminary work put into it. And that is the whole purpose of performing these rituals repeatedly, year after year, Sabbat after Sabbat, Esbat after Esbat, is to make the pathway open to you at all times, very quickly and more powerfully each and every time. So by no means do you have to do magic every day, but I do something And I started it years ago, and I call it, it is a mini ritual every day. And every day I call my quarters around me, my personal space, and I invoke my God and Goddess, and I invite them and my guardians to walk with me. I give them permission to work through me, around me, and be on and in me at all times. So it is a mini ritual that I start my day with. I think that's one of the reasons why that I have grown in my power. I think that's one of the things that I've done that actually built a lot of that power. There are times that I go through that I skip that and I don't do it on a daily basis and get away from it. Like, life just starts, digging into you, and you just got so many irons in the fire, and you just, it's okay not to do it. But I always find that that's when I allow something in that I don't want in my life every time. So I kind of try to do it on a regular basis, and it is a mini little ritual that you can do that it's not difficult. You make it your own personal. It's not something that's meant to be long and drawn out. It usually takes me less than 10-15 minutes a day, but it centers me for my day and it gets me going for the rest of the day. So that's some of the things that I do. I do have my special blends of herbs that I always burn to start a ritual. I have certain incense, mine particularly is Nag Champa, that I burn completely throughout the house as a clearing and a cleansing of all the space around me. Nag Champa is one of those smells that will center me very quickly, so it's one of the reasons I use it. So even my herbal blends, I have a holy oil, my personal holy oil that I have created. There's no right or wrong on making a personal holy oil. It can be anything from your favorite perfume added to the oil, your favorite herb, essential oil, rose water. There's so many different things that you can use to make your own personal holy oil. That is what I anoint a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be using in my ritual. When I make my holy water with the salt and my moon water, that I generally use moon water, depending on the work I'm doing, but for the most part it's usually a moon water of some sort in my ritual. And I will add a little bit of my holy oil to that as well to make it my own personal. It imprints something in everything that I'm doing, every layer that I'm doing. It imprints my influence, my power into everything. So I like doing that as well. If there are specifics about ritual that you wanted to know from any one of us, we'd be more than happy to answer questions more specific. There's another thing that I also do on dead on full moon and dead on dark moon. I will do specific rituals. I do my magical work either the day before or the day after, which is still considered dark or full moon, but it's either waxing 2 the culmination point or waning down from the culmination point. The culmination point itself I use to honor the god and goddess. So that's something I also do. I don't know if it's always different because a lot of people I think do that. But that is another thing. And my ritual is performed one day. My magical workings are performed another day. They're not done usually in the middle of one of those rituals. I will perform the rituals for Sabbats. I may have some kind of working that I need to do on a Sabbat, and I usually make those brief workings, or I usually do them on a separate day. Still well in the season, but the actual full magical working I will do on a separate day. Sometimes these rituals can be involved. They require a lot of energy, and sometimes you just don't really want that work to go on 3, 4, 5 hours. Most people have lives, children, a bunch of other things that you have to do. So for me, I kind of break it apart. I might do a little bit of magic work in some of the major rituals, but most of the time I'll keep that for a different day. And I'll do it to the planetary hour and the planetary day, planetary hour, the moon being in the right position, that kind of thing. Because a Sabbat doesn't necessarily have the moon in the right position for the working that I want. So anyway, that's kind of how I do it, and I didn't get too specific because there's so many different kinds of rituals that's a little difficult to do. But like I said, if you have any questions for any one of us, we would be more than happy to try to give our opinions and maybe even do another video series on those questions. So y'all have a wonderful, blessed day, and I will see y'all next week. Bye.